Hello. Hello there. Ooh. I can hear myself. Aster. I am joined by Aster.
You're telling me that you're joined by me? I like that. Hello, can uh anybody hear me? Anybody hear Exto? Can we get a thumbs up in the chat if sound is working?
Because we're so good at this production value. Works. Perfect.
Works. Okay.
And the levels are good between me and Aster. I might boost myself, but I have a specific application for that.
Well, we covered almost everything while we were trying to get the sound working, so we're just gonna uh, call it a night. Thanks, guys, for coming out.
Yeah. You're too low and Aster's. Okay. If I do that, I'm probably good now. And what is this going to say? Am I good now?
How's that compare now between the two of us?
Oh,
I think we're close enough. Let's
no,
get
I
this
think
road on the show.
I think I'm too low still.
Uh oh.
Yeah. More boost. We haven't done this in such a long time. I don't know what I'm doing.
Didn't we do this last week?
Uh, Maybe we did. Okay. Mic test 1 2. Okay, that's a little better. All right. Uh, now that we're done futzing around, so yes, the final PTCS daily. Uh, Aster, would you like to introduce it to us?
Sure. So this is a um, high bronze floor, so card 65 and above, diamond ceiling cap. We'll get into the cap part of it in a moment, but it's a modern day run environment and with a DH. Um, so, kind of in going with our uh, um, how we've approached tournaments, the first thing we do is figure out a cap number. This slide has the math of it. Um, there are it's a 2,111 cap, which means there's 421 free points to play with, which is a cap number of 12.38. Um, so just in thinking about it, this is a format where we need a DH, and you need five pitchers. So even assuming you're spending the minimum on your bench and your bullpen, that's still 14 slots that you have to fill with, presumably you'd like to fill with max hitters and max pitch and starting pitchers, but you only have 12.38 to work with. So you're going to have to save somewhere, and especially if you want to have something in the bullpen above, 65. You're going to want to use some of those points for that. So we're going to talk about some of the high end guys you can use and some of the basically free players at 65 or close to it. But you're probably also going to need some guys in between to kind of maybe hit above their weight and play like a high diamond hitter or pitcher, even if they don't quite grade out like that. So we're going to go into a little bit of all of that. But what were we starting with? Exto pitching.
Well, first, so just where this model is derived from, it's from the bronze floor daily cap. So it's not the exact same card pool. Like this has like the low bronze and it has the perfect cards, but this was I've been playing it because it's easy to get in the morning, and it usually doesn't for the past couple of weeks hasn't filled. But this is kind of a typical modern run environment. It's 8K per nine, 3.5 walks. The home runs are probably a little lower than what you would expect, but they're in run average and runs allowed per nine. Looking at the distribution, it's two-thirds righty dominant, uh, and it's almost 50-50. Well, it's it punishes sort of left-handed pitchers a lot with kind of a close to 70-30 split. Um, but I think those left-handed bats that are in are, usually like Ted Williams and stuff. So it's going to be probably a little different when we split it out.
Yeah,
Anything?
I mean, I also think that for there aren't that many. I mean, going through the pool, and we'll kind of get into it a little more, but there's not an absolute ton of left-handed bats. Like it would be hard to really like overload it and have mostly left-handed bats or all left-handed bats. But but there are a couple key ones that I think should do enough to set you up to have good luck, given the fact that I think the majority of people will go with a lot of right-handed pitchers, but probably not exclusively. There's a couple of top options that I think you're going to see people do a mixed pitching staff in this format.
So to the pitchers. So this was the L10 prices back when we last got our last card drop. This is based off of the presumed splits that you would see in the bronze floor day cap. So you kind of see Dolph Luke as number one. And this is FIP minus that's being shown. So it's Luke, Glavin, Morris, Faber, Sabathia, Chandler, Morton, Wool, Bumgardner, Pasquale. And it's all cards that if you've played Diamond are kind of you've seen. And I think this is just the top 10, like but you do see like after you go from Luke, Glavin, and Morris, it kind of there's a big kind of jump there.
Yeah, no, those three definitely stand out. And one of the things is a lot of people have Glavin because of the choice pack that we got with those Legend Diamond cards, and that was a very popular pick from that pack. So, and it's a much more reasonably priced card than a lot of the ones on this list. So, I expect a lot of people to use Glavin despite what we were talking about before with the splits, just because he's probably their best, a lot of people's best pitcher, and they're going to want to, use the full 99 points on, their ace, and that's going to be, the guy that, that is their ace, because the LEs, also, I think, aren't all of these, all four of these LEs on the list are all 25 LEs, right?
I think so. I spent a lot of money on one of them. Uh, I'll go into the tournament right now. Oh, I can enter a tournament. Let's do that one. Hold on. Just a moment. Fixed time tournaments. We're building for the daily tournament.
Yeah.
Get this all loaded up and see what we get. Okay. We want to look at Luke. Dolph Luke. Dolph Luke is a 25. Morris.
CC's a 25, and Pasquale's a 25. So, yeah, so all four of those. And then I think Robin Roberts is probably in the next 10. Yeah, I think is also a 25. So there's not going to be a lot of teams with, with a lot of these LE pitchers. So that's why I think even more so. And Morton is a new card. So I think you're going to see a lot of Glavins, some Fabers. Yule is a guy that I think a lot of people have. That I think we'll see a lot of. Bumgarner as well would be another lefty that I think a lot of people might use. And then I also think that, given the cap, I think people are going to drop down and be using more some of the low diamond, top pitchers, Alek Manoah, Oral Hershiser, just try and save a few cap points. And then also there's a lot of high golds that are, interesting options to save some points that I think people will be using. But I think that at the top you're probably are going to get a lot of Glavins, so there will be plate appearances for the right-handed bats against lefties. I don't think it's going to be a massively one-sided meta in that regard for starting pitching.
And well, we'll talk about the batters shortly, but the big bat being David Ortiz. So you
Sure.
kind of, I know Morton is very splitty, but if the majority of the bats are right-handed, then that kind of plays out where Glavin is very splitty against left-handers. So yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think there's any right answer.
No, and one of the things that's interesting is, if you have them, Luque and Morris are both reverse splits. So that has a nice benefit that if you're starting Luque, he's a righty, but he's going to be able to handle some of those elite left-handed batters like Ortiz a little bit better than some of the other top right-handed pitchers. So he's an interesting one. Obviously, if you have him, but he's not an easy card to acquire because, as we said, there's only 25.
You can kind of make out. I purchased a copy 12 of 25, so I will be running him.
Okay.
And then Tommy Glavine, who I think has been a part of. It's a modern era. Oh yeah, Morton also has 76 stamina, so
Yeah.
he's probably not going to be used.
Yeah.
Glavin, everyone knows about Glavin. Great against lefties. Somehow still gets righties out, but not as effectively. And then sort of the other one, Ed Morris. I think Morris is Morris left-handed? No, Morris.
He is a lefty. Yeah.
Oh,
As I
okay.
said, he has reverse splits. He's lefty, but he's a little bit better against righties. Um,
Yeah, and I think I haven't really spent a lot of time looking at it, but I think the stamina. I there might have been a stamina change in tournaments. I don't know. I do know that I've started pitch counting guys now, where I haven't pitch counted lots of guys all year. So
yeah,
who
I've
knows?
been pitch counting in modern tournaments pretty much all year. I find that it's guys don't if you let them pitch 130 140 pitches, they won't recover back to 100%, and then that tends to compound over the course of a long tournament. So you can kind of experiment with it a little bit, but a guy like Morris, I might put it like 125 with that 110 stamina, and see double check after maybe like the first start if I need to make an adjustment if he's not getting back to 100. Um,
So so we looked at kind of the expensive cards, although not all of these were expensive. Now let's look. I think these are ones that are uh, under 25K. I think I put. If you had to drop stuff or control, which would you prefer to still have? High control. I think it's breakpoint related or the presumed breakpoints. So I think like over 100 movement is good. Over 90, well, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think in modern settings, I I generally, if I have to pick between high high low and low high high, I probably would pick high high low. But it really depends a lot on how far we're going. I think you can also with some of these, there's a couple of pitchers like on that budget list. Somebody like Schoolboy Rowe or Cy Young, that's barely above 50. I think you can get away with that, but I wouldn't go below 50 in either In definitely, I wouldn't go below 50 in stuff, and I probably wouldn't go below 50 in control, with one notable exception that we'll get to. Um, I would say even for my, for the lower tier cards that we're going to be used to fill out our bullpen, I really try and stay above that break point of 50 for both stuff and control. And then, whatever you have to give up, um, to stay within that.
What with this being a cap, I probably would. Well, the cap number's kind of big too, but so it's a little harder to justify. But the tighter caps, I'd rather go higher stuff than control, just because you're gonna probably be facing weaker cards,
Right.
and I feel like the avoid K goes away more on weaker cards than the eye, but that could just be me wishing,
No,
or
I think there's
just
probably. I mean, I haven't looked that deeply into it to see, but I wouldn't be terribly surprised by that. Um, and then looking at this list, uh, Beck is below 50 stuff, right?
I believe so.
I think he's in the mid
He's
40s.
he's yeah, 40 and 41, 42 and 41.
Okay, so he would be a guy that for my bullpen, I'd probably be willing to use. Uh, um, uh, and and run with him because the movement and the stuff and the control is just so high. But he might be the only card uh, that I like. Um, uh, that below 50 stuff.
So kind of looking at some of these. So this is lighter, and he has that high low, or whatever, high medium high low profile.
I mean, that's pretty high stuff for this range of player. I think 96 is not super high, but um, it's blue. You got to give it that a little lighter blue, um, but yeah, I think lighter is a strong card. The splits aren't huge. Um,
Then we got Oral, who's probably a lot of people will run in addition to Alec Manoa. And Oral's been good in the low diamond tournaments.
yeah,
Um, Above 100 movement, which is appears to be kind of critical.
and
Practically no splits.
slight reverse splits. Yeah,
Yeah. Um, so looking at some of the bronze relief pitchers, this is going from 65 to 69. Uh, you know, people who play bronze probably see this a lot. But again, you kind of have Al Albuquerque, which is just like he breaks my model. I'm probably gonna have to refactor it for next year. But Al Albuquerque's well, Alvarez as well, Trashel, Lee, Choate, Gibbon, and then it kind of gets to the guys who are all kind of 60, 60, 60, and they all kind of grade out to be the same for the
yeah.
most part.
Important couple important things to note here. First of all, these are all guys that we're suggesting you use in the bullpen. Some of these are starters, some of them are relievers. So just keep that in mind that for your bullpen you can use either of them. And one of the things I think also is important to note on this list, most of the top guys that I'm going to be considering for my bullpen are not 65s. It's a kind of a weaker pool of 65 overall cards. I don't think Albuquerque is actually this good compared to the rest of the 65 to 69 group, but he's certainly way way above anybody who's a 65, and I'm probably going to be willing to spend a couple of points for most of my bullpen spots to be able to get some of these guys who are 67, 68 to fill in those spots. Just because I do think there's a big gap between these guys and then the guys that are 65 overall. There's just not that many that I really thought were going to be able to hang with some of the top diamond hitters.
Like you're basically gonna spend close to half diamond on your bullpen. About 7 guys around three points a card.
Yeah, I mean, I might.
So
I'll probably have 260, maybe 265s. I'll pick like two of the guys that I think are the least bad. Albuquerque is definitely going to be one for just 1 point. I'll probably have, a couple of guys, in this 67 to 69 range, and then, I'm probably gonna spend a few points on maybe like a stopper who's going to be, a silver. Maybe somebody like Jack Harshman who's a 72. I haven't looked at it completely yet, but yeah, I'd say I'll probably spend around 20 points on the bullpen.
that makes sense.
That would be my guess. So that's about a little bit more than half of a max player. Um, or actually, it's almost 2/3 of a max player. So uh, I just think in a modern settings, you're only going to get six, maybe 7 innings out of your starters. You're going to want to have somebody in the bullpen who can won't kill you. And so, yeah, Ludwig's pointing out like Joe Negro would be a good choice if you have the Ellie Negro, to Ellie John Franco. Those are low silvers that could be a good stopper for you. That will play up a little bit. I think there'll be people who will use some diamond pitchers in the bullpen. I think that's too many points for me. But this is it's a loose enough cap. I think it's not going to destroy you, but you're probably going to make some big sacrifices somewhere else on the roster if you're going to try and squeeze in some diamond pitchers.
The
All
yeah,
right, so
so
you're thinking of Stan Williams?
Stan Williams or
Would be
Mickey Harris, or does Mickey Harris actually have stamina?
No, he's only like 30. Harris is 31. I think Stan Williams is like 35. Yeah, those. I'd probably go Stan Williams. He's like a 75. I think Harris is like 77 or 78. So I would consider Stan for this spot. I think there might be slightly better options, but he wouldn't be a terrible pick for that spot. Um, but yeah, just going back to Albuquerque real quick. I'm not sure if everybody is going to know to play him, but I think that's as close as you're going to get to a no-brainer pick for this format.
I think the challenge is that with the low control and the low stamina, like he's probably, I don't know, gonna pitch maybe 3 out of 7 games of a series.
Sure.
But
But
I
for one
figure,
cap point, I think those are probably going to be, and also, it's small sample size, so there'll be some people who lose the tournament because their Albuquerque came in and walked the ballpark, and then there'll be a team that makes a deep run that's going to have like 15 shutout innings with 25 strikeouts from him, and he's a high risk, high reward kind of guy, but. You also don't. It doesn't really cost you anything other than one cap point to have him in there. And then it
then you
depends on
kind of
how much you
have.
want to spend on the rest of your bullpen. Is how important of a role you want to give him. I'm more likely to put him, in like more of a middle relief role, especially if I'm going to be going with, somebody like Necro as my stopper, who has a little bit, safer numbers that I think I'm going to be a little more dependable.
Wilson Alvarez is the other card, and he's a little bit more, I would say, safe.
Right.
He's got the higher stuff, but still kind of low movement and control. I don't know for the points if it'd be worth it, but
Yeah, I mean, I think there's some, 67s that I think I'd rather play over this and save a couple points. Um, I think there's some 70s that are probably 70, 71s that are better. So I think he might just be a guy that just doesn't quite. He's probably the best of the high bronze options other than Albuquerque, but I think depending on how you want to distribute your points, he probably is not um, uh, you know, uh, Beck is a good example of somebody that spent one more point, and it's a pretty big upgrade over Alvarez. So I don't see him as an auto. I think he's an option, but I don't think he's an automatic play for this.
Yeah, like I could maybe run him as an SP5 if I want to be dicey.
Mm, I think you're
That's an
better off if you're
idea.
trying to punt your fifth starter spot. I think I would go with. I think I'd go with Beck.
Yeah, probably, probably. All right, so that's pitchers, and then here's my big sheet of diamond hitters. Uh, get your glasses out. Just kind of going around the horn. Ruiz, Farrell, Spud Davis, everyone's favorite gold catcher. And then you kind of go to first base, and you got a combination of Ortiz and Giambi, and then you got the L.E. Palmero, who I don't think I've ever seen. Oh yeah, better off with Crap. Crap is probably a good pitcher too. Going
Yeah,
back,
but Crop doesn't have the stamina. If you're specifically looking for a fifth starter, I wouldn't go with Crop. I think he has like a 30 something stamina. Or am I confusing him with someone? Let me look it up.
but yeah, going to batters. Geringer, you got Geringer, Zobrist, um, all the new legend second baseman. Third base, it's kind of interesting. It's a bit of bunch up at the top. David Wright, I think my model just loves him. But then you kind of go down and you kind of see Stan Hack and Chipper Jones.
Oh, who am I confusing Gene Crop with? Because he has a 102 stamina, so ignore me.
Uh,
I was confusing him with someone else.
with Albuquerque.
No, I don't know. It was a starter that it's like I don't know.
Oh,
Let's move on to hitters.
yeah.
I'll never
Okay.
come up with it. Um,
Okay. We'll
so
let chat figure it out.
okay. Yeah, I mean, I almost think Ortiz is listed as the top hitter, and I actually think from what I've seen in various tournament formats where he plays, he might be better than what this is showing. Um, I've seen him absolutely carry teams against, and even in formats where there's like good perfect cards that play, he still is just a monster. Um, and he might have the fact that there's um, the fact that there are some lefties like Lavin and Ed Morris and Bumgarner that probably he'll run into. He might not quite have as much of an impact, but I still think he'll be by far the best hitter in this format. Would be my guess.
Ellie Hack Wilson, I rock this is at 122 WRC plus, so he just misses the cutoff. Sort of other cards that kind of like in the bottom right, I have the sort of the top, I think top 10 by WRC plus. I don't think there's any real, I guess, surprises. Harry Hallman, Ken Williams, those are probably two cards that haven't been used in a while. Just because we haven't had a diamond tournament. um, Jose Bautista is there at the bottom of right fielders. Looking at the left fielders, you kind of have the two gold stalwarts. You got Albert Bell, and you got the third baseman known as Kevin Mitchell. Um, yeah, yeah. So talking about David Ortiz, so like I think it's I don't know, it's the power, right? Like it's the power, it's the contact, it's the avoid K.
Yeah, I mean, it's just compared to most other diamond cards, it's a very well statted card. Um, Yeah,
especially as a 96. Like you saved the 3 cap points. I think that's in something like this. It's probably going to be really useful.
yeah, no, I definitely, I just think this is my favorite card, diamond card. Um, and I don't think
The,
it'll obviously have as many people playing it as Albuquerque, but you know, I think it's as close as I can think of to a no-brainer play, other than Albuquerque for this format. Um,
uh, the other one that this is one that you suggested I buy is it looks like kind of a clone to David Ortiz's little brother that can also play left field, run a little, and bunt. So Ken Williams. I think the power. Yeah, it
yeah,
feels like the BABIP isn't going to be that important.
yeah. The only problem with this Ken Williams, if this was a diamond format, I would say, I would definitely play him in left field. But there's just a lot of like, high gold options, or even low gold options that I think come very close to this card. Um, at like a nice discount in terms of cap points. So I don't feel like this is a must have, but I think if I had this, I would probably play it. Um, but I
Like,
haven't like
are you thinking like Schwarber? Because I feel like Schwarber is kind of a little bit too three true outcome ish. Like I feel like Williams is going to put the ball in play more, but have worse results.
yeah, but I mean you also have you have Kevin Mitchell, although you could play him at uh,
Well, Williams is a left-handed bat, right?
right. But
Mitchell isn't. I
but it's
didn't
a
think,
cap,
right?
so I don't think of it. You're not doing any
Yeah.
platoons in this, so I just think of it as you're looking for the best bats, and I care about handedness some. I want to mix, but like I'm not obviously going to be putting. Ideally, I'd like to put four lefties, four righties, and a switch hitter if I can find the right combination of players to fit that. Um, there might be one position where I'm doing a platoon with a lefty and a righty, um, of just like a couple high bronze players that I'm just trying to find a spot to punt. Um, but for the most part, I'm basically running these guys both ways. So uh, you know,
Do you think he's just too splitty for the points, or you'd
uh,
rather just save it?
I just think that if you go back to the slide with all the numbers, I think that there's some, I don't know if there's another lefty that's quite comparable, but still, you know, uh, the Hal McRae is a few less cap points, not that far down. Um, Kevin Mitchell's on there. Um, uh, Gold Ralph Kiner would be a good example. You could do Colavito, Charlie Keller. Charlie Keller's still in 88, so that's not quite as much saving cap points. But I just think there's a lot of gold options where, I don't know that I feel like I'm, uh, that I'm to spend up for Williams. I don't think it's wrong, and I think again, if I had him, that would probably be who I'd go with. Just because he is one of the very top bats. And I wouldn't want to. I've thought about playing Giambi in left field, but the defense is really bad. I don't think I can quite pull that off. But it just feels like left field is a spot where maybe I can get away, even like an Oscar Gamble, playing him in left field as an 82 is a nice lefty, and then using the cap points to have a better diamond bat maybe in another position. That just feels like a spot that I might be willing to save, because I do feel like there's a lot of gold bats that um, that it's worth it to kind of drop down at that spot. But if
So
you have this Ken Williams, I think you play him, and then you just have to pick a different spot to try and save some points. But it's just really kind of options. But I do really like this card. And I wouldn't have told you to buy it if I didn't think it was, and hey, I might change my mind and buy it. Although I think everybody's bought up the copies that were on the market while we're talking about him.
Let's see what is the highest buy order for Ken Williams. You can get your copy for low price of 79K.
Yeah, I think that was a 75K when we started. So maybe somebody bought one as a result. Um,
So yeah, high bronze hitters. So these are basically bronze cards. If you just kind of look at the bottom right, you can kind of see the expected W weighted runs created plus is a lot lower, which is you kind of expect. It goes from 155 to 140 to 117, and then it's really like Keister, Carlos Lee, Giacomo Milligan, and then you kind of start quickly kind of getting to average.
yeah, I mean, but the other thing is, I think most likely, you're probably not going to want to have any of these guys in a starting spot. Maybe if you want to punt catcher and go with a couple of these high bronze catchers. I think there's probably I'd maybe go with one of them, and then there's some low silver guys that probably are going to be stronger of bat and better defense. Most of these high bronze catchers that can hit like Milligan have pretty bad defense. So Milligan I think would be a decent option as a backup catcher, or maybe in a platoon with somebody. But
He
they're
does back up first base as well.
oh, okay. It's not nothing. Um, but yeah, 62 catcher ability. But it's a pretty good overall card. Um, I don't know. I'm leaning towards that's going to be one of my catchers. But I don't know. I don't know for certain. I'll probably have to dig a little deeper before I decide on that. But that looks like it's a standout among the uh, Lucroy definitely would be another option. Um,
Another card which I think just generally breaks the model is Keister, and I think with that it's the avoid K, it's the gap power, and he can play a few positions, and he's only a 65, so I feel like a lot of people are probably going to be running Keister for you know for zero cost.
yeah, and I mean he solves some problems if you do a build and you realize, oh, I don't really have a backup at this spot. He could be a guy that you have like as your primarily backup right fielder, but he can, if you're kind of short at second base or something like that, but he's not a good defender anywhere. I think there's some other guys at like the 65, 66 that maybe can play multiple spots and play them well. The other nice thing about Keister, though, is if he's kind of that last spot on the roster, it's also a really nice pinch run option with that elite, base running. And so I don't think he's a must-have card, but he's a very interesting bat. And my guess is the model likes him a little bit better than it should, but I still think he's kind of a useful free card for maybe that last spot in your lineup that you're just looking to maybe pinch run, not be truly awful in right field. But I think there's probably some better options, but it is a fun card.
So do you want to go through the rest of the slides, or do you want to jump into the game and do like a 15-minute build?
Uh, let's start on a build. I think that makes sense, and then if we don't get to anything else, we can always. Those are kind of evergreen at this point, and we can talk about it next time.
Okay, let's see. Is this gonna work? This is gonna work. Perfect. Okay. So I have 421 value points under the cap.
Okay. Well,
So
you have 420 after you add Albuquerque.
420 after I add Albuquerque. Yeah. Uh, wait, which card? Where is it? Where is Albuquerque? Albuquerque is a rookie sensation. So rookie sensation pictures. Albuquerque. There we go. Did I do the right one? Sometimes select the wrong one. Um,
Okay.
okay. So the way I like, I know, I think we've talked about it in the past about, preference of how to build rosters, but I think for me, I always tend to overinvest in my pitchers, and I think that's just a matter of um, they're. I feel like I use them a lot, so
Sure.
why not? So I know Luke. I bought. I'm gonna put in everyone's favorite all-time legend, Tom Glavine. Gonna put in. Uh, Now we get to kind of thinking about what kind of alternatives do we have.
So for the third spot, Luke would be a really nice option. But it's still, you're still spending pretty much a max spot on him. If you want to go a little cheaper, maybe Hershiser or Manoa. Um, I think those are both decent options.
Sure.
You don't want to start
Let's.
Albuquerque, are you sure?
Uh, Maybe I'll spot start him. Hershiser is
94.
he's a legend or is he
He, I believe, is a legend. So special edition would be a bad place to look for him.
94 Hershiser? Uh, Now go to Cy Young, everyone's favorite gold
Gold?
card.
Yeah, I probably.
That seems pretty good.
Yeah.
And then who else?
And then do you want to? So now we're on fifth starter, right?
I think so.
Do you want to punt down to Beck for that,
Because
or do you have Joe Negro?
I have a Necro. Let's take a look at this Necro card.
I mean, I think Negro would probably be, a better choice in the bullpen than if you're gonna have Negro and Beck on your team. I'd probably do Beck as the fifth starter and Negro in the bullpen. But you don't
What
have to have
about
both.
what about Jack Russell? Let's take a look at this Jack Russell card.
The 50 stam is a little
Yeah,
sus.
that's very suspect. There's Zach Greinke, probably not worth it. Dennis Lamp, if that card ever sold. Ernie Shore.
Are these guys you have or guys you want?
No, I have Ernie Shore.
Okay.
I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. There we go. He's a 79 though.
Oh yeah, I think
I
it's
think at that point it's just better to go to Boom Boom.
yeah. Well, even a 79, I would go, Morton or Gallardo before I would go with Shore. Um, but if you're looking to save more points, then I would say um, go down and
Or
back.
what is Beck? Beck is unsung hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably good. Because I'll probably in the pen, there's, I'll just throw another, I'll throw Franco in. I feel like I need a left-hander to face, to get beat up by David Ortiz in high leverage situations.
There you go.
Is it worth to play Hubble? Probably not.
Um, I mean the home run per nine. If it's the number that we saw from the bronze floor data, I would say you could probably get away with it. But my guess is the home runs per nine is going to be higher, and I don't know. I wouldn't feel that comfortable with him.
What about someone like Ben Meisel?
Uh, who dat? Oh, Vinegar Bend.
Is
Yeah,
it is it is it Vinegar Bend or is it Vinegar Ben Meisel?
I don't know.
Um, because I feel like this card, like I used it in the last PTCS to beat one Gabagoo who isn't listening, so I can talk. I'll talk about him. Because I started him actually, so it was actually kind of I was able to kind of flip between my SP5 and Vinegar Man. So I kind of, but I think at that point maybe I'm investing too much. But let's throw him in and we can figure it out.
Okay.
So we now
Yeah.
have uh,
It
where
was.
is it?
So are you going with him over back, or are you going to have both play both?
I'm gonna have him in the bullpen.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Um,
that's a good stopper option. I mean, Harshman is similar. Look at all them packs.
oh yeah, I have some packs. I'm saving them for later.
Sounds good.
Uh, where is that screen that tells me? Oh, is it this screen? I have 278 values left, and I need to fill out the rest of my roster.
Okay.
Um,
So let's look at maybe some of the lower bronze pitcher options because you've got two.
well,
Okay.
let's go to the batters now,
Okay.
because I like there are some. I'd rather pick and choose from the four more random bronzes later, just to
Sure.
know how much my points are. Um, so batters, I think gonna put in Ortiz and pray. Uh, there's that 96. How do you feel about paying 98 points for Troy Tulowitzki?
I've been thinking about that. It's an. I
Because
don't.
you get the premium defense and
And
you
a
get
premium, and you get a pretty darn good bat. Because the guy I've been leaning towards going with at shortstop is Tony Fernandez, um, who.
see. I would play Tony at second,
Okay. Yeah,
and
I,
then
I, I definitely think I'm going to have Tony Fernandez at one of those two positions, but I'm not certain which one. Um, but I like his versatility.
I wish I had a Hanley. I see Hanley all the time. Um, Center fielders, I don't know who to play. Um,
I think just staying on Hanley for a minute. I think I would probably leaning towards playing Hanley at third base. Um, that I just feel like the defense is just a little bit too weak, but you can get away with it at third. Um, so center field. Um, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways you could go with center field. I mean, I don't. There's no clear like slam dunk option. Um, you can definitely do Griffey.
where's
You could go cheaper at center field. You even go like something lower like Gorman Thomas.
McTammany?
Uh, I don't like. I've never liked McTavish. I feel like you're just completely throwing away offense at the position. Um,
Well, apparently the model likes Victorino.
okay.
Let's take a look at this Victorino card. It may be confused.
I mean, it's he's got victory right in the name. Can't go wrong with that.
Can't can't go wrong with that. Uh, the range is a little low. Uh, Pettis. He's probably 400, 4,000. He's 15. They're all gone. Poof. Yeah, I don't know about that Victorino. Yeah, that Gary Pettis seems pretty good. If only I had 15,000. Because
Oh
I
wow,
guess,
that's some defense for a silver. I mean, if you're gonna,
well, you got like Adam Jones. Like, well, why not just do Adam Jones?
yeah, Adam
Let's
Jones
do
is
that.
cheaper, and I'm probably even a you know,
Uh, so let's see. That. Oh, Victorino. I didn't want Victorino. Let's drop him. So corner fielders. Corner fielders. Is this where we kind of pay down? I feel like there's a lot of good. There's a lot of
so did you put
good.
Ken Williams in there?
I didn't put Ken Williams, but if I'm playing Mitchell and left, or Mitchell, I want to play Mitchell at third.
Right.
Then Ken Williams can definitely play left,
Sure.
but I'd need a right fielder, and I could probably play Jose Batista there.
Yes, you could.
That defense is so bad. Um, where does Jose Batista rank? Oh, ooh, ooh. There's Reggie Smith for 65,000. That would be the card to play.
Who?
Reggie Smith.
It's a card I forgot existed.
There's one sell order.
It's a pretty decent right fielder. I don't know.
Oh, oh, oh. Let's lean into the mission spec and put in. Oh, Ludwig's favorite card, Jermaine Dye. No, we're not going to play Jermaine Dye. We'll play Jason Worth.
If you beat Gabagoo with Jermaine Dye, I think I would declare you the greatest OTP player of all time.
Unfortunately, I said IFO. I don't have Sosa. I would play Sosa if I had him.
Yeah. If you don't care about defense, JD Martinez.
I think Worth is probably okay
Yeah.
because he's a little splitty, but I feel like you can kind of just shift him around in the
If you feel
lineup.
like you need another strong lefty bat, you could go Reggie instead.
Well, okay. So how many points do I have left? I have not a lot of points left. I
Okay.
have 96 points,
Right.
which is well, that's like 3 diamonds.
Right.
So
But I'm saying play Reggie instead of Worth, so it's like the same bit, or what you would save 1 point.
Reggie,
Reggie Jackson, or the
oh,
94 Daryl if you have.
94 Daryl.
You don't
He's a
have.
special edition, right?
Yep.
Ooh, that's a fun card. Yeah, I haven't used this card, and I've actually been kind of looking.
Yeah, I would think about using one of those two at in right field to have another strong lefty bat because you've got Ken Williams and Ortiz, but I think most of the rest of your bats are going to be righties so far, right? Because you got Mitchell and Tulo.
I have 3 lefties, 3 righties, and one switch hitter.
Okay,
So it's pretty balanced.
right. So yeah, so I think that's pretty solid. And then we've got catcher and DH, right?
Yeah. Deacon White? No. Kendall? Because he's a switch hitter, right? Jason Kendall? No, he's a righty.
Yeah, what are you thinking about doing for catcher? Okay.
Spud Davis. I feel like I need someone with a little bit more catcher ability.
Okay.
I don't think I have a Rick. Oh, I do have a Rick Farrell.
Rick
That's a lot.
Farrell.
That's a lot for not.
Not much of a bat for that.
Yeah,
I
that's a
think I'd rather
lot.
play Kirk, and Kirk's not even that great
I
anymore.
don't. I don't have a Kirk, so
Uh,
that makes that easy.
Wait, you don't have a
Uh,
Blue Jay player?
he was so expensive.
It's
Although
not that
I should.
expensive now.
I bought Dolph Luke instead.
Okay.
Uh, Bob. Bob O'Farrell. Yes, that's the one. Oh, is that? Ooh, ooh, ooh. I don't like how low the catcher ability is, but yes.
Yeah. Uh,
I'm thinking. I'm thinking just sell out. No, I was like sell out for Jorge Posada. No, I think that's a terrible. That's a terrible. All right, let's look at some of these gold catchers. Jackie Clements and Gene Tennis, the Boom Boom Brothers.
that's a lot to pay for a platoon, though.
Yeah, probably just Gene Tennis, and
Yeah.
just like completely punt on catcher ability.
Well, I mean, you could go tennis and then go with uh, there's some low silver catchers that are like really crazy defense,
Oh,
like Jojima or um,
there. Yeah, Porter. Wrong
you know,
Porter.
Porter doesn't have great defense either. Social doesn't have great defense.
Fielding ratings, catcher ability.
Yeah, Porter's pretty
Maeda,
bad.
Tucker Barnhart.
Yeah, you can go Barnhart.
That's a lot, but I feel like that's
Yeah,
so.
so
I think we still gives us enough to do a full, like a full diamond. Yeah, we have 66 points. I like that. Uh, so who do I want for a bat then? Because right now I think we're DHing Gene Tennis. Uh, so I have two switch hitters. Well, I have four righties and three lefties. So I'd probably want another lefty, and I could probably go full diamond.
okay.
All star Ted Williams.
I was that was going to be my first thought. Who else? We're talking stud lefty hitter.
How do you not go with Ted? Unless you want to run.
Oh, the guy I would go with over Ted would be Giambi.
Ooh. He's a all-time legend.
Or, I mean, you could even go 99 Ruth, although
99 Ruth. Oh, he's not a legend. What is he?
99 Ruth is a Hardware Heroes, I think.
Babe Ruth.
Yeah.
Kinda like that. I like that just because he isn't awful around the base paths. Sweet. All right, build done.
Okay.
Uh,
I would recommend, picking up some bronze. So how many points do you have left?
I have 32 points left, so I think that's enough to kind of pick.
Oh yeah, that's more than enough. You might even be able to pick and choose, upgrade a spot. That's it. That's interesting. This was a great exercise because I now have a better feel for what I can do with my build. You don't really have to punt that much. I was thinking you were going to end up punting more, but you graded down a little bit. I think punting the fifth starter spot definitely gives you a lot of options. So yeah, this is a fun build. I It's nice, when you have the floor pretty high, like there's just not a lot of bad cards that you're working with. So yeah, this is
I want to see who else in the outfield is.
because like center field, you could upgrade
Could
some
to
points.
Mullins?
I don't know, 16 points for
Not much of a difference in terms of bat.
right.
Wow, that bat does look incredibly similar.
Yeah, I mean, like
Ooh,
it's not a very good. Neither of them are a very good bat, but I feel like for 16 more points, you're not really getting much of an upgrade.
the defense is like it's 5 points of range, which
Yeah, it's not
I don't
nothing,
know.
but again, 16 cap points. I just feel like you should be getting more than that.
Then it's Kiermaier,
Oh
Maddox,
God, don't.
Bowles, other Gary Maddox, Tavares,
No,
even more Tommy Agee. This is the card to play.
nope, not so much.
Yeah, then we're kind of dumbing down. Like could upgrade to like Erstad, but I don't think Erstad is even that good.
No.
Emmett Hendrick, punt even further.
Ooh. Oh no, no, no. Now I figured who you were talking about. I mean, he's a good backup option. Although I would like um, if he played more than one position. Um, I don't think you
Yeah,
can. I don't think you're really going to want to have a backup center fielder that's the only position he backs up. Um,
George Gore. This is the one.
yeah, I like that Gora card a lot. I could probably talk myself into playing that as my center fielder to have a
I could probably
lefty.
just
Although I think if you're spending that much, I think if you're spending that much at center field, I'd probably just go with Griffey if you have him, which you do.
yeah.
But that's 20 points upgrade uh, from Jones to Griffey, and then
I
that eats up a lot of your your remaining cap points.
I like Lange, but I do not have him. Lange looks like a good card.
Yeah,
Paul Blair would be a card if I had infinite money. He would be a card
Blair's
I'd
also a
want.
card I have not seen up in a long time.
So I think it just got to go with what you know and put in Griffey. Now do you
And
keep
you've spent over $1 million on that Griffey card, so you might as well use it.
yeah. I think I spent like 200,000 on him.
Million, 200,000, same difference.
Rolling in money.
Yes.
I'm gonna pull Ricky Henderson in these 59 packs on Thursday if there are any Ricky Hendersons left.
We're getting to the bottom of the barrel for that. I think
I
getting
think
to the
there's
end,
9 left.
nine
I haven't.
left
So okay, I guess the final question is using Adam Jones
as the
paying
backup.
too much? I think it's paying too much.
I think it's paying too much, especially that he only plays one position.
No, he plays right as well.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if you can back up to, um,
I'm definitely gonna play this Keister card.
well, if you're playing Keister, then I'd rather your center fielder back up another spot. Um,
Daryl Strawberry.
Trying to look and see. There's not a lot of great defensive. center fielders in the bronze.
Because
I mean,
I still have 12 points,
okay,
which, and I
but you
need.
but you're gonna want to put some 67-ish cards in the bullpen.
Oh yeah, let's look at some pictures then.
A lot of the good bronze hitters in center field are terrible defensive players. So that'll be an interesting trade off. And the guys who are good defenders are really pretty awful. That's going to be a pick your poison. Uh, I rock this. I assume you're talking about the Diamond Crothers. Um, I think for 98 points, he's going to be way below the other pitchers at that level, and I don't think the bat play is. If you're then trying to use him, for the two-way value. I just think that you don't have to spend that many points above a 65 to get a better hitter than him. Um, so I think with a high floor like this, I just don't think that he has the value. Um, if it was a tighter cap or a lower. Um, okay, I mean, if Carruthers is your best option, but I would definitely play Bob Ule over him. Um, I'm trying to think of cards a lot of people have. The problem is we didn't have that many recent, diamond reward, mission reward cards. Most of the mission reward cards for the most of the second half of the cycle were all perfects, and so I can see how a lot of people wouldn't have. Yeah, I'm surprised you don't have one of those that tier of guys. Um, just because the Seaver. Oh, the Diamond Seaver is. I don't think that card's very good.
I rock this. What's your budget?
Zero.
If, zero? Oh,
I
okay.
don't know. I don't know. Are you? Yeah, I mean Glavin for 40,000. Um, let's see. Is there any Glavins up? Yeah, there's Glavin up for 40,000. I think that's a pretty good buy. He's got what's Ule? There's no Ule's up, but he's similar. Might get him for more like 50. If you're trying to do this on a budget, Schoolboy Row, it's under 20,000. Um,
I think I'm gonna have to rethink some of these defensive picks. Well, I think Billy Cox. I'm gonna run out of positional flexibility. I have 3 spots to cover 8 spots.
Another card I rock this the 91 Plat Joe Necro. Is a 91 for under 20,000. That's not a terrible card. Um, yeah, it's kind of hard without seeing what cards people have to say who to play, but um, ultimately you play what you have. If you want to spend money on PTCS, you haven't really this time around. I had most of the guys to think if there's anybody else. Definitely, in the gold range, as Esadafo says, Cy Young, Jim Bagby. I'm trying to think. I like the Killam Escobar card. Um, okay, how we doing? We got a
We're
full roster.
almost done.
Okay,
I got. I just need a first baseman,
okay.
and I have 6 points,
6 points.
so I can pick Stan Musial, and I
Who?
think we're good. Stan the man,
Why not 71 Edgar?
because I only have 6 points. Oh wait a minute. This is a bronze floor cap. High,
High bronze floor
high,
cap.
high bronze floor.
So 65 plus 6 equals.
71.
There we
I
go.
passed. I passed math, I think.
Excellent.
Or Ryan Klesko. Um, no,
Yeah,
I think Edgar is probably better
sure.
because it gives
Well,
me kind of great Grady Sizemore for VR and Edgar
there you go.
BL.
Yeah, that's
Ship it, as I
now
like to
you just need
say.
a matchup with Gabago and you're good.
Yeah. What is this? This is 2023 0207 PTCS daily lineup. Awesome. Smells like a winner. I believe, Mr. Audit. You turned me on to being positive about things, and so I'm being positive. This is definitely gonna win. So yeah, I think we have some more slides.
Okay.
As you may know, we're done tournaments, and what that means.
We got some end of the year results. So just going to break down real quick some of these categories. I've been tracking this for most of the year. This is just, for the full 36 weeks. And, for this is top 10 finishes. So for the whole cycle, these are all the people that have 10 or more top 10 finishes over the 36 weeks. And pretty strong list of names. And I think we can kind of breeze through these, go through the different, different formats. So this is Tournament Weekly, Tournament Daily, of course, dominated by Palatine Plutos. The 14 weekly wins is just unbelievable. And he finished strong with first, second, first in the last 4 weeks is just kind of crazy.
I think it's a testament of how difficult it's been to run like the daily tournaments as well. So at least like some of them. I
Yeah,
recall like the last month it was everything just would go into quicks for the most part.
yeah. And, and most of the people on this list, with at least the team that they're, listed for, mostly played exclusively the dailies. It's kind of amazing. Isidafo, with top 10 in both for the season. Um, uh, you know, uh, it's kind of amazing. Just the amount of time it takes to manage that many teams, and then also just to manage getting into that many tournaments on a regular basis is pretty impressive. Um, and you know, what was I going to say? I have no idea. Let's move on to the next slide because I can't even think of it at this moment.
PD dailies.
Um, Yeah, so starting to see a little bit more in the dailies, a few more people kind of, standing out. Again, Mr. Audit's Balking Dead, had tied for the most. Um, Monterdon came on late with 4 top 10 finishes in the last, 7 weeks, which, you can see wasn't that many, didn't take that many top 10 finishes over the course of the full cycle to get on to make it on this list. So um, you only had to do it one out of every 6 or 7 weeks to make it on the list. So uh, a lot more spread out. The number of people who finished in the top 10 at least once this year was in the hundreds. And then for the weekly PDs was like several hundred. So definitely, a little bit more luck based. Part of it is you have so many fewer tournaments that you're playing um, in a given week that just one or two really good results really stand out. Early in the cycle, to me in the top 10 in a PD weekly, you basically needed like a win and maybe like one other. Um, so yeah. Um, but still, again,
Overall,
overall lists. These are all the people who finished, top 10, 15 or more times over the course of the year. Um, so, you had 3 teams that averaged at least one a week. Pluto's Mr. Audit and I, um, and then, um, you know, I think not on here because they didn't have 15, but I'm pretty sure JDA was the only person to finish in the top 10 in all 4 categories at least once, which I thought was pretty cool. It was something I vaguely tried to do. I played the weekly perfect draft for exclusively for a couple weeks in the middle of the season and didn't really do very well to try and get that top 10. But a lot of strong performers on this list. And then also have been keeping the list of just who had the most impressive weeks over the course of the cycle. For weekly tournaments, I have a lot of spots on this list. And yeah, I've had a couple of really strong weeks of late, the last towards the end of the season. And then for dailies, it's a little bit more. Earlier on in the cycle, Peloton Plutos had almost all the spots on the list, but there have been some good teams that have come on. Bard Owls had a really strong close to the year, and a few other very good teams have had some pretty monster weeks in the daily tournaments. But you look at some of them, just you can play up to 70 tournaments, and it's kind of one of the things I think is most amazing is I have no idea. Played 64 tournaments and did well in them. I would think and Bard Owls 1 week had 65. Like I can see playing that many, but I would have thought you would have needed to get knocked out early in a good number. But I don't know how you get knocked out early in a good number and then put up 250 plus points. So that I found very impressive. I'm not home nearly enough to enter that many daily tournaments. And then
daily perfect drafts.
daily perfect drafts. We've got Mr. Audit at the top with a pretty insane week of 99 points in only 11 tournaments. I mean, if you look, almost everybody that was also on that list had 12 to 15 tournaments, which it became a lot easier late in the cycle to play more of them. But that very early, week 3, just pretty ridiculous dominance.
And then
and then
finally,
and then um, yeah, this record just kept on getting broken um, for a while, just because they kept on adding more weekly tournaments, and so early in the cycle, you can only really play uh, 4 or 5 of them. And then toward late in the cycle, you could get 6, 7, and then the last month or two, you could get in 8 in a week. Um, and so the numbers really kind of moved up over the course. You don't see anything from the first half of the cycle really in here, except I think my alt had the record briefly during the first half of the cycle, but very quickly got usurped by people playing more tournaments, and I didn't do very well in the weekly PDs toward the end of the season. Um, but yeah, so um, that's the top 10 finishes and then the high points. I have some other data with some points per tournament um, and some other stuff that I've been working on. Um, Probably gonna put that out over the next couple of weeks. Figured didn't want to spend the entire show doing slides of tournament data, but have some good stuff. Um, that we'll definitely cover. Maybe the next couple of shows. Um, and Exto mentioned earlier we were talking. We might try and get Durden back. To make an appearance, talk about the new gold cap tournament. Um, he he seemed fired up to talk about that. So we're going to see if we can find a time later this week to hop on. I'll maybe throw some more slides on the end of that one, or wait until next week. Just last thought before we call it a night. We'll probably do a stream most weeks. As we kind of move on into the end of the season, if there's particular topics that you'd like to see us, talk about, we're not maybe going to do that much on like a specific tournament as the cycle, kind of comes to an end. But if there's particular concepts in terms of how to build and whether it's perfect drafts or tournaments, if there's anything you'd like us to cover, shoot either of us a DM. We're happy to take ideas. Uh, kind of things that we can cover. If you leave us to our own devices, I have no idea what we're going to come up with for topics, but we'd be happy to get some feedback from people who like to watch and give some more detail. I think Exto, you did a slider stream a couple months ago, right?
yep.
Solo when I was busy. So I rock this. You can definitely check that out. Should be in our archive. We can maybe go back to that and expand on some of that or cover some other things on that topic. I think I watched it, but I don't know if I remember what specifically parts of it you covered. But
It
um,
was more mechanically like how adjust versus override is used and when to use it.
oh, okay. Oh, that's very helpful. Um, yeah, so we could more go into what adjustments you make for different types of tournaments um, and things like that. Maybe get into kind of for era tournaments and things like that. So okay, that's one idea for the future. Um, Exto, anything else you wanted to cover for tonight?
No, I've probably been spending too much time on my online league, so I do have my own channel. I may be streaming a bit on that in terms of just random stuff, building models in Excel, bad models in Excel, and uh, Isadafo. I did track fatigue in like the first 6 games, and I think I posted that. But yeah, maybe looking at fatigue. It's just it's it takes a lot of diligence to kind of capture that kind of info or do it in offline. But then there's is the offline base game the same as Perfect Team? And I don't have enough tinfoil to answer that. But yeah, so uh, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed this little talk. Uh, yeah, anything else?
No, I think that's it. Thanks everybody who hung around and listened to us ramble. Um, and hope you got something out of it. And good luck to everybody in PTCS in whatever formats that you have qualified in. Good luck for our last chance at a PTMS berth.
Yep. And we'll probably do another one of these for PTMS. Maybe, maybe not. But yeah, I'm going to raid into TJ's stream.